So it's official, as though we didn't already know. Arsenal can no longer win at the Premier League. Manchester City are champions. We have just lost 1-0 at Nottingham Forest. The season's rather fading away a little bit, isn't it? We are going to get into it the other side of this.
Real Martinelli. It's now with Granit Xhaka. Is it going to be the third goal? It is the third goal. Granit Xhaka with it. That seals it.
And joining us to go over what was another fantastic afternoon watching Arsenal, Melvin, of course, and Neil. Melvin, how are you tonight? How are you feeling?
I'm past the pain barrier, to be honest with you, Richard. That's how I feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I think we all came to terms with our fate last week, really, didn't we? So we've had a week to kind of adjust to it all. I mean, Neil, another pretty poor performance, which we'll get into.
Yeah, I honestly, I always have hope, as you know, as I predicted at the last pod, but I wasn't surprised. I think the fire had gone in a few weeks. Gone. I think the fire had already been extinguished from the players. I think it was almost inevitable, and the way Forest set up, it was going to be very difficult for us, even if we were going for the title. I think it would have been a tough game. So, yeah, I'm not surprised, to be fair.
No. I mean, where do we start with it all, really? I mean, I suppose really the most probably surprising place to start would be the team lineup, wouldn't it? I mean, all season, Mikel Arteta has been very, very set in the team lineup, the positions, everything like that. He's not changed too much unless he's had to because of injuries and stuff like that. Today, suddenly, out of nowhere, he's put Thomas Partey at right back. He's put Ben White at centre-back where he's not played all season. He put Kiwior at left-back. Poor Kieran Tierney, one game, gets dropped to the bench. It's like, what on earth was that team selection all about? I mean, Melvin, what did you think when you saw the lineup? Because it's like, wow, that was my kind of initial reaction. Wow, what on earth is going on?
Was quite a strange one today because I was at a family do and I got in just before kickoff. I was always going to make it. There was no danger about that. But something went wrong with my son's car, so we had to sort that out. And it was just got in before the kickoff. I'm watching it, and I swear to you, I'm looking around. And I'm thinking, he's got him at left back, and you could tell he's not a left back. Talk about, I mean, he'd be better off in goal than a left back. In all seriousness, he did nothing to suggest he could ever play that position again, or ever did. Because I'm not blaming the player, but fish out of water times 10. And I swear to you, I turned around at with both my sons today. I turned around when Tierney come on. They said, I forgot he was in the squad because I thought, well, we got no other left backs. Mentally, it was like, we got, injuries. I know we got injured. This one's injured. I thought, hold on a minute. He's been sitting on the bench all game when we've had Kiwior, or whatever his name is, Kiwior. I don't want to say his name, but I will probably. Playing, and it just, all he could do was collect the ball, push it back, collect the ball, push it back, which really wasn't very good. So that surprised me. If we can go on about later on game management, if you don't mind, and I agree with what you say, you just move the whole defence around. Why make one change when you can make 8? You know what I mean? It was like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
But what I was screaming for, I do have these little screams by myself. Well, I was with the two boys, but at the screen, I think it's going to make a difference. It never does, funnily enough. But I would have brought on after 30 minutes, because you can tell after 5 minutes how this game was going, and go for the next 90 minutes or whatever it was. We didn't have anyone with any real pace to go forward to beat a man with desire, who's not frightened, who hasn't lost it, whose head's not down. And you know who that person is? He may not be everyone's favourite. He may not be the finished article yet, though he should be his age. Nelson gives 100%. He's direct. He beats players. On that basis, he takes other players out of their comfort zone. Once he beats the defender, all the rest of the defence are out of their comfort zone. We don't have any of that. And it was just frustrating me. You could have taken anyone, any forward or midfielder off the pitch to make room for Nelson. He would have improved the team. Now, what do we know? We don't. We don't know anything. I know we don't. But I knew that. And I think the manager or the coaching staff should have known that. That's what we were, not the only thing we were lacking. But whenever he's come on, Nelson, as I say, he's had his chances, but I think he's deserved a bit more recently. He's given everything. He's put his heart and soul into it. And he's managed to go past players, jink inside, jink outside. We've had no one to do that. Even Saka, who tried very hard, he always had two men on him. But when he beat a player today, he never got away from them. He beat them, cut back inside. You know what it reminded me of? And I'm having a go at a player, and I'm sorry if it's an Arsenal player, but I mean, it's in the I wish I would have played a millionth of where he played. It was like having 10 holdings on the pitch today. The way we were playing it around from left to right, right to left, back, forward. And I'm sorry to disrespect him, but I don't mean him as a defender. Yeah, defender is good. But do you remember those days when Holding got the ball, turned left, turned right, turned back, turned left? And it was so frustrating. Well, you got someone on the bench to do something. The worst he could have done is get to the level of the other players today. He could have actually made a difference. And that was loads of frustrations today, but that was not only the team selection, Richard and Neil, it was the not changing things where you could look over your shoulder and go, put him on, we might actually get something or change. He would have been the biggest change, in my opinion, to the way we were playing. Because we were so slow, it was like a training session for Notts Forest. All shift to the left, all shift to the right. That's all it was. It was we didn't stretch their defence. And my wife came in near the end and go, what's going on? I said, Sarah, you could have played in goal for Forest today. And that's how bad we were. Anyway, I'll let you get a couple of words in because I'll just go
on. I mean, it's difficult to argue with any of that, really. I mean, it was from the minute I saw the team lineup. And to be fair, the first thing I did was to say, my first thought was Kieran Tierney must be injured. I looked straight on the bench at the subs, and everyone was sitting on the bench. I'm thinking, what on earth are you doing? You've given him one game where the problems last week were Ben White at right back, not Kieran Tierney at left back, right? And you start Ben White and you put Kieran Tierney on the bench. You move Ben White away from right back. You play Thomas Partey as a midfield player at right back. You play a centre back instead of Kieran Tierney at left back. I mean, if I was Kieran Tierney, I would have walked out and gone home. Quite honestly, I'd have got on the bus on my own and gone home. Absolutely pointless. I don't know what on earth he's thinking.
Can I add someone to that? And I don't care if he's fit or not fit or whatever, who should never come to a training session again for Arsenal, never turn up for anything, don't go on the home bus, is Smith Rowe. He should never put on an Arsenal tracksuit again, let alone a football shirt, because he's sitting there and watching that crap, and he can do something with the football going forward. And they bring on Vieira. No disrespect to Vieira, but he ain't cut it for me yet. And I don't think he's cut it for many people, including the manager. And if you can bring on Vieira in a physical game, let's face it, Forest were a big physical team. Not having a go at them, that's what they were. Let's be fair, let's be honest. Big physical, and they done a number on us. And you can sit that Smith Rowe sitting there going, am I missing something? I'm in a parallel universe or something. They're bringing him on and I'm sitting here. So that's another guy that could do it. And also, not being funny, Nelson. They want him to sign a contract. He'd go, what for? I can sit anywhere. Sorry about that.
Nelson wasn't even on the bench, by the way. Today.
Oh, wasn't he?
No. I'm not sure why. I don't know if there was an injury.
Apparently he was ill, but I would question that. I'm a little bit doubtful.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even on the bench. So
I didn't see the bench. I just come straight in and watched the game. I couldn't be bothered to look at my phone. I thought it was a normal type bench. Sorry.
No, I mean, Smith Rowe was on the bench and didn't come on. You're absolutely right about that. But yeah, Nelson wasn't on the bench at all, so he couldn't have come on. What's going on there, I do not know. I mean, Neil, I know, as you said at the beginning, you always try to be positive, and that's great, and we love that. But I mean, today, everything that my issues with Arteta, every single issue with Arteta was in this game today, from the team selection to the substitutions to the tactics to the way that we played the game, the way we set out to play, every single thing. is every single frustration I've ever had with Mikel Arteta, and it's still here in 2023, nearly 4 years into his managerial reign. And I don't care that we've gone from 5th place to 2nd place. We may as well have gone from 5th place to 4th place, because it's the same end result. We get Champions League football, and that's it. We haven't really improved that much. When it comes down to it, we bottled a league title from a fantastic position, and then today he just messes around. It's almost like at the end, when I used to play Sunday League years ago, on the last game of the season, you'd draw out a number, and that would be the position that you'd play. It wouldn't be a normal position. You'd get a striker playing in goal. You'd get a centre forward playing at right back, just because you just picked a random position. Now, that's what it looked like today. He just randomly picked positions, but with no reason behind it. I mean, it was just ridiculous. As soon as I looked at that team, I'm like, this game is going to be terrible. I felt sorry for all the fans that had gone up there, sang their heart out for 90 minutes of that game. I felt sorry for them having to witness that pathetic effort from a team that clearly have given up. It's just not acceptable for Arsenal. I don't care that we threw the league last week. We still mathematically were in it today. We had to win that game, and we turn up with a team like that, a performance like that. It's just pathetic. And as far as I'm concerned, I would be questioning whether or not Mikel Arteta is the right man. Let's get another dog. Let's do that. That's the idea. That's going to make us win trophies. Bring another dog in. Neil, what do you think?
Oh, God.
Follow that.
I don't know what to say after what you and Melvin have said. Well, for starters, my disappointment was the fact that it doesn't matter whether we were going to win the title or not, we had to make City work till the last possible second.
Exactly.
Whether that be
Make them
today and
Make
they win
them
it
win
tomorrow. And
yeah.
what if by some miracle Chelsea managed to do something and then they dropped further points and it still went to the last game of the season? No, I'm not saying we win the league, Rich. I'm just saying we pushed them all the way. Liverpool did it twice. Exactly. Liverpool lost the league by 1 point, but at least they pushed them all the way, and that hurts a little bit. I think for me that's the biggest disappointment, that we didn't make them work. We've just said, here you are, it's there you go, you can take it. We won't even bother beating Forest. You can have it today. You don't even have to play Chelsea. You can play all your kids against Chelsea. I don't even know who they would be. Maybe the under 13 team. Probably still win. But and then you can keep all your everything for your FA Cup final and your Champions League final. That's the bit that hurts. The fact that we were in such a strong position for so much of the season, and then literally just to say, do you know what? For me, it really felt. I mean, it was done. The 3 draws, the loss were the worst preparation to get City at their ground. We obviously lost there. And then we had a slight glimmer, and then following that Everton result, we didn't bother turning up against Brighton. It just felt inept, that performance. But even today, we could have, even just to have some pride and to show, and like what you said, the fans, for me, the away fans who have made the effort, they're singing their heart out, and they did, bless them, throughout right till the end. And a shout has to go out to them, home and away this season. They have been epic, absolutely epic. Nothing has tainted them. Nothing has made them feel that, do you know what, I ain't going to bother. And there've been some reasons for them to feel that way, but they haven't. And I love that. I love the fact that our fan base is now sort of back to what it should be and what it should have always been. But it just feels gut-wrenchingly disappointing. And when I saw that lineup, as I said to you, I missed most of the first half, so I can't comment much about that. I did see the goal, which was...
Lucky you were lucky.
Yeah,
you were lucky.
I saw the lineup and I thought, so all this time, people have been saying, why doesn't Arteta... I'm not here to sit here criticising, which I'm not going to do that, but what I will say is there have been opportunities where he could have maybe changed things around a little bit, and it never happened. You were saying, a lot of people were saying, just switch it up a little bit, do this. And then all of a sudden he decides today to completely transform the team into something completely unrecognisable. I saw the lineup. Sorry, 1 second, Melvin. I saw the lineup.
Not now, just after, sorry.
Yeah, I saw the lineup, and I thought we're going to play a back 3, because I thought, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And then I realised what he was doing, and I, like you, Rich, was fuming. I saw Tierney on the bench. I did see the subs bench. I wanted to find out what was wrong with Nelson. Found out he was ill. I kind of questioned that. I thought, is he?
Sorry.
And Tierney, he's gone. He's gone. The's no way he's staying.
Got to go. I want him to go. I don't want him to go through this next season. He's got to go for himself. He's got to go.
Yeah, and I think it will be Newcastle. I'm sure it will be. But anyway, we'll see. Emma Smith-Rowe, Melvin's bang on the money. What? How can you bring Fabio Vieira on? Again, no disrespect to Vieira, because if a player is wearing the Arsenal shirt, I will always back them, because for me it is really not the right thing to get behind, get on a player's back, because I always think that's counterproductive. I always do. So I'll always back a player, but I just don't feel he's ready, especially to play against the likes of Forest. They're huge. They're just a bunch of meatheads. And I'm sorry,
physical.
he ain't
Like it or not, they are physical.
He ain't a meathead. He ain't a meathead, and he's still got to adjust to the Premiership. But poor Emma Smith-Rowe, who's been there and done it, he doesn't even get a look in, and question marks have got to be, raised about that. And then of course, it's just the way the whole thing was set up. And I just thought, why today, all days today, you've gone with your own philosophy all season. You stuck to a certain fairly consistent way of playing, and then today you've just thrown it out the park. Why? It didn't work. You realised it wasn't working after the first few minutes, certainly after the first 25. Change it back, to get some sort of balance back in the team. Nothing. And I couldn't see us scoring at all. Not at all. Martinelli, huge miss with what Melvin said earlier. No pace. Absolutely right. Nothing. Trossard, I'm not going to get on his back. I'll tell you what, I thought he was abysmal, but I'm not going to get on his back in a negative way. I just think he's thinking, what have I done wrong? I came to this team. I've done everything I can. He's been absolutely superb. He gets usurped by Jesus as soon as Jesus is fit. I don't blame him. It shouldn't be like that, because you've got to be professional and you're getting paid to do a job. But at the end of the day, you're still a human being. And I just think that he probably just wasn't even at 40%. Well, none of the team were, but I think there was a genuine reason for his. So, yeah, hugely disappointing to go out in a whimper.
It was. And joining us as well, just before Melvin, we've got Lee with us as well. So we've got
Lee.
It's good to see Lee. He's not been on for a while. He's been busy, but he's back with us and can share his frustration. I'm sure that we're all feeling at the moment. I'm pretty sure that we are. We're all feeling pretty. I think frustrated is putting it lightly. Let's put it that way. I mean, what did you make of all? I mean, we were talking about the team selection really first. I mean, it was baffling, wasn't it? Just mad. Oh, you're on mute. I think we can't hear
you. Lee.
We still can't hear you.
There we go. I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here.
You're back.
Yeah, good to be back, guys. Good to see you all. All looking well. Baffling team selection. I mean, this has almost been like today was just the final nail in the coffin. Obviously, it's been a horrible last 2 or 3 weeks, and it's I'm more half full than half empty kind of person. It has been a great season, but I honestly think this last 2 or 3 weeks it's almost undone quite a lot, if not all of the good work. Yes, we finished second. Yes, we're in the Champions League. But I'm just sitting thinking, it's the mentality word, right? It's just worrying. Yeah, the mentality. Yeah, we lost Saliba and it did unstabilize the team, but we just went out with no fight at all. I mean, individual mistakes. Southampton, we were chasing the game from there. We missed a penalty at West Ham, and I can kind of say forgive South. You can get these odd games where you make mistakes and you're chasing the game. We did it against Bournemouth, but got away with it. And again, West Ham obviously put it on us the last 20, 30 minutes, and it never went our way. But the mentality, the league was still there against Brighton, right? However unlikely, right? It was still on. Teams can have a blip. City could have dropped 2 games, however unlikely. The law of averages, what have they won? 13, 14 on the bounce. So there's always that hope. So I had ridiculous statements, like same as you guys, like the team watched City get that result, whatever, and they were deflated. What? We're going for a league title. Honestly, it is really disappointing. It has left a real bad taste in my mouth, certainly. And same with all of us. It's been a brilliant season, but it feels like it's all evaporated. And it's not. I'm trying not to be too downhearted, but I can't help it. It's just how I feel. It's just a bad ending, and it just makes me think: what we're going to go into next season now, and if we start getting ahead again, maybe we're top, maybe we're second. The rest of the league are going to start thinking, well, hang on a minute. We don't have to. Arsenal always fold. We're getting the bottle of label thrown at us, and even the players themselves think, we're going to bottle it again.
Lee, unless there is massive changes in the summer, we are not going to be top of the league next season at any point.
I have to agree with you.
with this squad
Yeah.
of players and this manager, we need a massive, massive influx of players and a change
Yeah.
of philosophy completely from the manager to be able to be flexible in different games. I know today we tried something different, but far too late. We needed to try something different in other games earlier in the season. And work on a plan for the opposition that you're playing against. Don't just play the same way. And today you did something completely weird and completely strange.
Weird.
Players didn't seem to know what they were doing either. It was like, what on earth? It was like, this isn't Arsenal. This isn't.
Well, Adam said it. Adam at half time, didn't he? About Partey being right back. Was he playing right back next season? What? And Neil touched on it about Vieira. I mean, come on. I mean, that kid needs some steak and kidney pies down him. As you said, they're a big, bullying, physical team. What chance has he got? I mean, the Southampton game, it was just embarrassing. He's, maybe he will come good, but it's just it cost us against that. We were just struggling with him in midfield. He's just not big enough. He's too small. He's kids football, right? Until something changed, or he's not suitable for our league. Go back to Spain, wherever. But he's just not suitable, especially against Forest away. It's just Emil Smith Rowe again. Neil said it as well. What? Emil Smith Rowe? I just don't get it. Something's going on with Emil there. Just a weird one, but. Yeah, on the floor, mate. On the floor.
Something seems to be going on with a few players. We've got a few people in the comments already. I thought we might have. Terry says, "Evening, Richard. Absolute rubbish. I realised today we need about 6 to 8 players and a new manager if we expect to complete the league next season." Something like that. Terry says, "I would keep about 4 players that was on that pitch today and get rid of the rest. Absolutely pathetic. We're acting like a 2-bob club." Well, today we definitely were. Russ says, "Lads, that was an absolute shambles, shameful display today." Yeah, it seems like everybody pretty much feels the same. Archduke of Oxford says there, "A good evening, good in it's not really good, right?" And that's not even the bottom job, it's the full kettle of boiling water job. Yeah, I mean, 100% is. Archduke of Oxford also says there, "This calendar year, Forest kept only 3 clean sheets, all of them against the current bottom 3. Now Arsenal is 4th." Yeah, pretty much sums it up. Bongo Guna says, "Well, that was awful." Yeah, I think we all agree. Phil says, "Thoroughly disappointed with today. I didn't understand the lineup at all." No, none of us did. It's just baffling. It's all falling apart the last few weeks. Feeling hollow now. Yeah, that pretty much is pretty much how we all feel. Andy says, "Today's blame goes to Arteta. We can't compete like this in the Champions League." Well, absolutely not. If we play like that in the Champions League, we are not going to get very far. Oh, are we? Let's be honest. Terry said, "That was bad. Even my 2 dogs that are watching the game with me barked, kicked me." This is sheer height. Even the dogs, Beefy and Woolly, is that their names? Oh, cool. I ask if we can go rip one of the chickens apart. Well, I mean, maybe just take them for a walk. That's what you should have done. That would have probably been the best way. Russ says, "Lost to Forest and Everton and 2 draws against Southampton. That's 10 points right there." Now, Russ, this is the point I've been making. Man City can be as good as they like. We have thrown away points with shit teams like that. And if we had 10 more points now from those games, which on paper we should have got, it wouldn't matter how much money Man City have got. It wouldn't matter how they've cheated. It wouldn't matter anything. We'd be far clear of them.
Correct.
It's our own fault.
Correct.
We can't blame no one but ourselves. Bongo goes there. "We channeled our inner Robin Hood today." Nottingham, yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I know it's like you said, it's a different Forest. Well, it's a different Forest, but it's the same kind of part of the world, isn't it? So we'll let you off that one. Terry's on the bright side. Forest cost us the league, and it wasn't Man City making us bottle it. Well, I mean, as Neil said, we should have made City win it. Don't give it to them. Make them earn it. Make them have to win their game. We've just given it to them. Go on, there you go, Pep. There you go, Pep, my best friend ever. I'll let you rest all your team for the rest of the season so you can win the Champions League. How's that? Isn't that nice of me? I'm your best mate. Sorry, mate. You can go back there. Go back with him. Go back and work with him. I don't want you at my club. Go back and sit with him for the next season. Bongo Guna says there, "Hello, Terry. Well, happy to be second." Are we happy to be second, really?
No.
Wayne says, "We could still be playing now, wouldn't have scored a goal." Yeah, we could still be playing until next season, then we wouldn't have scored a goal. Play where we played today. Russ says, "Jesus was abysmal today." He was. We need a real number 9. He wasn't the only one. Let's be honest. It was any of the 11 or 14 that played, 15 that played. They were all pretty much abysmal, weren't they? So we can't just single out any one player. Magnificent Jafar says, "Evening to the panel. I've promised myself never to be excited with Arsenal team, even if we have 1 game to go. They have just killed the love and affection I have for the mentality of these players." I mean, I think there's a lot going on. But yeah, the mentality has been a problem at this club, not just in the last year or 2 years or 3 years. It's been a problem for a long, long time. And it's a completely different set of players. It's a different manager. He's given it a great lot of waffle, hasn't he, about changing the culture, this, that, and the other. But fundamentally, not very much has changed. We've got slightly better players than we had a few years ago. But when it comes down to the crunch, when it really matters, when the pressure's on, they've got no bottle, they've got no heart. And last week against Brighton and this week against Nottingham Forest, those two performances to me are just, that is not a team that believes they can do anything. And that comes from the manager. It does. It comes from the manager. That's rolling over and dying and saying, we're just not good enough. We can't compete with Man City, so let's not bother. Yeah. And that is not acceptable for Arsenal. That is not. I don't mind losing games. We're going to lose games. You know, we've got a youngish, inexperienced team. We're not as young as everyone seems to think we are.
It's just the manner, Richard, isn't it? It's the manner of losing the games. Unacceptable.
Giving up. It's saying, you know, it's almost like accepting we're not going to do it. And that's not, you know, you've got to try. Even if you know you can't win the league, you've got to try to win every single game. And if you lose some, you lose some, fair enough. But when you don't even try, and Brighton was dreadful, today was even worse. Today was even worse. It could have been. I thought that was it last week. I thought, okay, that's out of the way now. They know they've lost the league. We'll go and relax the last two games, play some great football, win our last two games, end up with a decent points title, which is going to look really good. And we know that we can improve. Instead, we've gone out today like that and literally gave that game up. We were wearing black. We should have been wearing white because we raised the white flag from the start of that game. We were white like we did the cup against them last year when they beat us as well.
Yeah, it's just a terrible way just to finish the season. It will just undo so much. Horrible. Now, I don't care how. I mean, again, Rich, I'm positive. You know what I mean, again, I'm more R4, I think. But even me, I just knocked the life out of me. I think, you know, so I'm not looking forward to starting next season, but it just leads so many questions, doesn't it? About everything, the manager, the squad, it's the whole lot, the whole mentality, because you've got no confidence with like these players and the manager. We get into this position again. Now, what's the definition of madness? They're expecting a different result of the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. Gutted.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Gutted.
I mean, Melvin, I know you want to come in a little bit early. I know we've got a little bit sidetracked there. We're getting a bit excited, but go on, Melvin. What were you going to say before? Or have you forgotten?
Someone stole my thunder about. I was going to ask you two, because Lee wasn't with us then. How many minutes would it have been, do you think, until we needed to score? But a couple of things to touch on what Lee has said. I've loved this season, most of it anyway.
Yeah. Same.
And I think to a degree, it's done us no good at all. In fact, it's a negative this season for us because the back of the players' minds will go, well, can't be 10 points in front of Man City. We've got to be 20.
Yeah.
Or whoever's challenging. That's my first point. My second point is that it's a get out of jail card, I think, we've been using, and I'm talking about as all Arsenal supporters, and I'm talking about the media, to say, look at Man City. They are fantastic. They've done this, they've done that, and they are a fantastic team. You know, so if we come second, then it's no disgrace. It isn't. But Liverpool, 2-0 up. Man City could have put 50 people on the pitch every week, and the other team played with 5, and they could have beaten the teams 50-0 every week. Had we held on and done the what most title-winning teams do, 2-0 up away and won that game and had the form that we should have had, it don't make any difference what Man City would have done.
Yeah.
And I think we're making that excuse, and it's wrong.
Yeah, we are.
I know where we got to be there. It was fantastic. It was the best I've seen. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But you've got to put a question mark on, right, from that point on, and you've got to take seasons sometimes from different points. From that point on, we were a disgrace. We didn't deserve to win the league. And I know we drew out at Southampton, and that was pathetic because we had them to lay. We were 1-0 up, strolling about, and all of a sudden they nick a goal, and it looked like we were going to get beat. I thought against Leeds, I mean, we had a get out of jail card a few times, let's face it. I went to Leeds, we were lucky. And I'm not saying Man City don't get lucky, they do. But we've had a few, like a home to Bournemouth, was it? A few things like that. A bit, you know, but if you're going to draw the line at Liverpool, once that Jesus header goes in, we should have gone, we know what we're doing, boys. We've got this. We're going to win this. And that would have carried us, I believe, a sliding doors moment would have carried us through. It may not have done, but I reckon it could have done. And that's the disappointing thing. I know we're all going to go, yeah, but you can't expect to beat City. We were 100 yards clear in the last lap.
Yeah.
And we got cramped. All right?
Yeah.
So, we're 300 yards clear.
Absolutely. 100%.
That's what we had.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree with that more. And so many people have been saying, "How can we compete with Man City?" Well, we did for like 30 games.
Yeah.
And when it mattered, we couldn't. And that's not down to Man City. That's down to us. It's down to us. You know, and I can't understand why people are refusing to accept that's the reason. Man City are a great side. However they've built their team, whatever they've done to get that team, right? Forget all of that. They are a very, very good side. They are potentially the best team in Europe. When we're about to find out in the next few weeks in the final, right?
They win that.
It's like if people saying, "Oh, we haven't bottled it. How can you bottle it?" But it's like if you're running a 100-meter sprint and at 50 meters you're 5-6 meters clear and you don't win that race, you've bottled it because you're in front on the final stretch. We were in front on the final stretch and we blew it. You know, we did a desert. What was that? Oh, Desert Orchid.
Devon Lock. Devon Lock.
Yeah, that's the one. That's what we are. We're Devon Lock again. We were Devon Lock last season for 4th place. We're Devon Lock this season. And people saying, "Oh, Arsenal didn't bottle it. Man City are too good." No. Man City are good. They're very good. They're exceptionally good. But that isn't the point. That's not why we haven't won the league.
We beat ourselves. We didn't need to beat City, as you said, as Melvin said, 10 points clear. The games that we should have won, we would have got over the line. Even if we would have drawn against Liverpool, we had another sliding doors moment against West Ham. 2-0 up, and then 2-1, and then the penalty, and then again we kind of folded. They put us under pressure. So yes, it is down to us. And before I got on this call, Rich, I didn't want to use the bottle. It's almost like it's sticking in my throat, and I don't want it to come out of my mouth because I'm in a little bit of denial. And I thought, no, have we bottled it? No, it's just. But we have. It's undeniable. We bottled it. We totally have. Yeah, we have. And it sticks in my throat to say it because I don't want to say it because because like Melvin said, I've had a great time over this. It's been brilliant. I've left that stadium. Some of the last minute wins, just filling up. Emotion. I thought it's been a long time since I felt like this. So it is really disappointing. Disappointing.
Just to add on to that, Lee, talking about bottle. It's a horrible word to use. And I even up to yesterday, I wasn't accepting it.
No.
My mindset has changed.
We're in denial, aren't we, Melvin?
Yeah, I've been in denial. Yeah, I agree.
Same with me.
But against Southampton at home, we give away a stupid goal. We give away Hackney Marsh's goal, right? It's in the first minute. I've seen league champions be 1-0 down at home with 10 minutes to go and get it back. We had 89 minutes to put ourselves back on track that game, and we didn't. I think we went 2-0 down, was it? Yeah, 2-0 down. Yeah. And it seemed to deflate us, and we've got to a situation now that once we get down to go from third to second gear, we can never go up the third again, and that's a disappointment. And just one other thing, I know you can't be bullish, you've got to be bearish after today. But Odegaard with his stupid pass. I know there's a lot to do for the goal, but stupid pass. I'm giving him a 3 out of 10. Yeah. And the only reason I'm giving him a 3 and not any lower, because he won the toss.
It's the same pass against Man City away, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think he did one as well. I think there's 3. But listen, it's a blind, lazy. That's a lazy. If you play in midfield, that's a lazy pass.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it was kind of lazy performance actually, not just him, the whole team, and he kind of summed it up really, didn't he, in his performance as well. But I mean, it is. I mean, Neil, I know, there's not really much more that we can say. I mean, we don't want to, no one wants to feel negative about the team or anything like that. What we want is we want to feel, we want to feel happy. We want to feel excited. We want to feel all those great things that football can give us and has given us over the years on many occasions. Supporting Arsenal has been amazing, hasn't it? The amount of things that we've experienced, and we that's how we want to feel. And you can't feel like that all the time because that's not how football works. But we had at 19 games, we had 50 points at 19 games. No Arsenal team in history had that much of a a points total at a halfway point in the season since it's been 3 points for a win. Even if you worked out the old 2 points for a win, probably not. I don't know. Maybe in the 30s potentially, but I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
That was the best start to a season. Everyone kept saying it, didn't they? It's the best after a season. No team's ever got that many points at the halfway stage and not won the league.
Yeah.
And how anybody can say it's not bottled, we've not bottled it from that point, I don't know. We have.
You're in denial, aren't you? You're in denial if you don't.
Season now, 18 games, we've got 31 points. That's that'd be top 6. That'd be top. If that was over the season, that'd be top 6. That's where we've been in the second half of the season. We've been a top 6 team. We overperformed clearly in the first half of the season, massively overperformed. We were lucky with injuries. We were lucky with some decisions that went our way. We got some good results and we played some good football, but we overperformed in the second half of the season. I think this is the real Arsenal that we've seen since January. And next season worries me that if this is the real Arsenal, next season we are going to be just battling for the top 6 to try and get in the top 4. That's where we'll be. I think that's where we are. And we just overperformed for 19 games. And we got all those great results. But I don't know. I mean, Neil, how do you see it? Because obviously next season now is so important, isn't it? Because, you know, the last 2 seasons we've come 8th, we've come 5th, now we've come 2nd. So there's been a steady progression. Can we progress anymore? Because I'm not sure if we can with this team. You know, I don't really think we can. I think we've come as far as we can now. And it's almost a matter of saying, right, we need to change the whole thing. We need to get some more experienced players in. We need to be a bit more flexible. I don't know. But I'm not sure if we can. I mean, obviously, the only step forward from here is to win the league, isn't it? And I don't think we're ready to do that yet.
Well, firstly, let me just say one thing, something that Melvin touched on about some of the results. You know, we were lucky and we got the last gasp winners, etc. And I mean, end of the day, champions tend to have to sometimes do that. Man United used to do that a lot. They used to play in third time and get winners where you didn't expect the team to do anything. And I think that makes a champion. I think that makes a champion is when you're playing badly and you still manage to grind out a result and get 3 points. So we were doing a little bit of that, you know, especially the game at Leeds. That's the great example of that, where I think we were outplayed, but we managed to beat them 1-0. God knows how, but we did. And all these little things. The Reece Nelson last gasp winner, the Jorginho one, I think the Gabriel one against Man United, was it? I can't remember who did. That was Nketiah, wasn't it? And Nketiah scored against Man United. Yeah. All these little things, for me at the time, I was so involved and so embroiled, like probably most of us or all of us, it just felt like fate, that something was written in the stars for us this season, that we are actually going to do something with that. And, you know, some people might say, well, but you got lucky then. You got lucky, so you haven't really dominated. You're not real champions. But actually, I see it in a different way. That should be those kind of results. The players should think, do you know what? Things are going our way. We should capitalize on that even more. So I think that's actually an advantage, not a disadvantage. We shouldn't look back at it and say, we were actually lucky. So really, do we deserve it? No, we shouldn't look at it like that. We should say, do you know what? That's a great result. You know, on another day it wouldn't have happened, but this season it seems to happen 3-4 times. I think it happened 4 times in total when we got the last gasp winners. And I think we should have, you know, built on that, if that makes sense, or use that to advantage. As far as looking ahead, Rich, and what you're saying, yes, you're right. The form from the first half to this half, you know, it's night and day, absolutely night and day in terms of wins and performances and what have you. The way I see it is Arteta is here. He's going to stay. There's no way he's not going anywhere. So all that needs to happen is he has to be very cute in the transfer window. Has to be very cute in the transfer window with Edu. And as I said in the last pod and maybe the one before, I'm not talking about big money signings. I'm talking about proper, useful, decent, a combination of maybe youth and experience where they've got lots of energy and power, a bit like some of these Forest players have got. Some of the Brighton players have got, and then also those experienced players as well. So a combination of the two. I think we need at least. You're going to probably laugh at me, but I think we're looking at 6 players that we need coming. 6. And I would even say that's a minimum, not a maximum. So we're looking at that. I wouldn't like to suggest that, you know, we're not going to do better. I think next season is the key season, Richard. Let's see what happens. If we can get on a good start again, I'm not interested in other teams thinking, oh no, they'll bottle it, so it doesn't matter if they're top for the first 6 months or whatever. What we've got to show is we've got to learn from what has happened this season. Now I know it's not an excuse, and I know you guys have been saying it true, and I agree with you. But for me, the catalyst The start of this all was losing Tomiyasu and Saliba in that Europa game. From there, we just seemed to fall apart. Then it led to those 3 draws, and then it led to the loss, and and we had a slight reprieve, and then all of a sudden we've seen what we've done against Brighton and Forest, which has been nothing short of absolutely, well, a joke, really. But we need to see Arteta improve on that part of the season. You called it, Rich. To be fair to you, you were saying at the time when I was saying we're winning it. You're saying our squad is too thin, they're too inexperienced, and I think they're going to run out of steam. All those things happened, all of them, on top of key injuries to our defence. So that is what I want to see us do. For me, I'll be watching this next season very, very closely, and I'm going to see where there are shortcomings. Have we managed to learn from what happened this season? Because now he has a benchmark. Now he has a platform to draw and further schematics, go to the blueprints, whatever he needs to do with his coaching staff, and be able to build and repair what has happened. Now, if he does all of that and we don't fulfill anything next season, then questions will be asked. But, you know, if we repeat the same thing again next season, then, yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think next season is key for him. I think it's probably the biggest season for him in his tenure at Arsenal. But while I will say, and you might not agree again with me, guys, but while he's there, while the players are there, I will have to back them. I don't want to start getting on anyone's back because at the end of the day, I've had, like what Lee was saying earlier, I've walked out that stadium on countless times thinking, wow, I'm so proud to be an Arsenal fan. Always have been, by the way, guys. Melvin, Rich, we know that. You know, we've been following Arsenal for probably decades. And you, Lee, you know, I'm not saying you're all old, by the way, but I'm just saying we've been following Arsenal for a long time.
We are.
We are.
We're not that new group of people that think that football was invented 20 years ago. You know, before the Prem, there was no football. Football has been there since the late 19th century or whatever. I don't know which one it is, but 18.
We're not that old.
Yeah, you know, I know. Well, I feel it. I feel it after today, Lee. I tell you, I do,
mate. Yeah, same.
But what I'm saying is, I think that we let's see what he does next season. Let's see what the coaching team do. Let's see what the transfers bring, and then I think we will be in a very strong position to have this same discussion this time next year and see where we're at, and then judgment calls can be made. That's how I see it.
No, you're right, and you know we've said it enough times. This season there has been improvements from last season, from the season before. Overall, there's been improvements. Of course, there has. There hasn't been enough improvements to have taken that next step, but there has been improvements. And next season there has to be a step forward, and a step forward is winning trophies now, isn't it? It's winning trophies. We've challenged for the title. We have challenged for the title. We can't say we haven't. And we've come up short. We kind of maybe took the other cup competitions not quite so seriously because of the position that we were in the league at the time. You can sort of understand it a little bit. I don't like us throwing competitions. We said it at the time. Let's try and go as far as we can in all of them. But yeah, maybe I can understand that. So next season, there's no excuses, is there, for throwing any of the cup competitions?
No.
You know, the Champions League is going to put a lot of strain on the squad. We know that as well, and we want to try to. You know, we're not going to win the Champions League, probably, I wouldn't imagine. But at least we want to be competitive in it. We don't want to get turned over and lose like we did the last time we were in it when Bayern Munich beat us 10-2 on aggregate. We don't want to be suffering that again. We want to be competitive in the Champions League. And that's got to be the aim, hasn't it? To go as far as we can in the 2 domestic cups, to be competitive in the Champions League and put another proper title challenge in. That's what's got to be the aim. And if we don't do any of those things next season, there can only, unfortunately, be one outcome. I personally think Mikel Arteta would have been in a job 4.5 years by the end of next season. 4.5 years, and that's long enough. That is long enough to have put your stamp on it all, to have got the team that you wanted, to have got the team moving forward, and to have been putting us as Arsenal. We're not a small club. We're not a Brighton, or we're not a club like that. Progression for us in 4 years is winning trophies and regularly, consistently competing to win trophies. That's where we at 4 years. And next season, as you rightly say, Neil, that is the crunch one. It is the crunch one. You know, how much longer can we say it's a process or we're on the process? That's almost like an excuse. It's been the last 3 years. We're not in a process anymore. We're either here or we're not. And if we're not here, then we get someone else in who can take us here. You know what I mean? That's how it's got to be now. We can't keep making these excuses. And yes, I agree. This season has brought us some great moments. But it's not a great season. It isn't a great season because we haven't won anything. It's not a great season. Everyone says, and this is something that's really annoyed me for a lot of, particularly in the last few months. Everyone said we've overachieved this season. No, we haven't. Our aim this season was to get top 4. We've got top 4. We've achieved exactly what we needed to achieve. We haven't overachieved. Right? And people are saying we're ahead of schedule. No, we're not, because we should have been in the top 4 last year. So we were a year behind schedule, because not in the Champions League till next season. We should have been in it this season. So we're behind schedule, and we haven't overachieved. We've achieved exactly what we had to achieve, which was top 4. And
Didn't Arteta, when he signed Willian, say to Willian that we're going to be winning Champions League in 3 years? He did say that,
that's
didn't
what
he?
Said, yeah, that's apparently what he said.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had a few. I think they had a few whiskies that night. But no, I mean, to me, we aren't ahead of schedule at all. I think we're a year behind. I think not getting top 4 last year was actually set us back. Because
not overall. We're not. No, it felt like we were ahead of schedule 3 months ago, or 2.5 months ago, because we were all starting to believe. I was just saying to myself, is this going to happen? No, don't be silly. And then we'd win, then we'd win again, then we won at Villa away, and I was starting to think we could actually do this. They're trying to win the Champions League. We're clearly not on their level, C, but we can still nick this league. You know, we don't have to be C. We can draw. We can draw at the Emirates, lose away, and we'll still have enough. So it would have been winning the league would have been undeniable, the progress, but to fall away again in the manner that we have, it's just.
I mean, there was talk, wasn't there, earlier in the season about, people were mentioning 89. It's another 89. I remember people saying that in the build-up to the Man City game as well. And it's like, I'm thinking, am I the only one who can see what's actually happening with what this team is and what this man? Am I the only one that can see it? Because I just didn't see at any point did I see any similarities with 89 at all, none whatsoever.
No. The biggest difference, Rich, is the mentality. I think, the Thomas and the Rocastle and these kind of players and the Martin Hayes are very great.
So, a manager who would have players up against the wall. You can see what George was like. He was
cojones, wasn't it? It's just you have to have bollocks. Unfortunately, you have to push through in games, and and without digging him out, because I do love Odegaard, but I'm going to dig him out. I have no kind of, when push comes to shove. He's our leader. We're expecting him to stand up.
He's not even as good as
he goes into his shell, and he just looks like a frightened little boy. Unfortunately, that's what he looks like. He does.
Under George Graham, it was a very draconian system, if I got the word right. But that's not a very nice system. But actually, for 6 trophies, it worked. It worked. He was a sergeant major at the end of the day, and Tony Adams was also a sergeant major, and his underlings were also sergeant majors. They
were drilled. They were drilled.
They were. I mean, that defence was the foundation for everything for us, and that was his philosophy.
He worked that, didn't he? Every day in training, worked.
Exactly. His philosophy was, I will build from the back, then go forward. Only way. You sort the defence out first. And actually, if you think about it, it wasn't a fact. All right. The last 2 games, yes, but generally, it's not been a lack of goals that we haven't scored this season. It's the defensive leakage that we had that has cost us. And Mel, you guys were right. I was thinking that as well. I was always used to say, when I was buoyant and saying to you guys that we're going to win it this year, and I said the only caveat is in that so one team will beat us if it does, and that's going to be ourselves. And the fact that, whether it's complacency or whatever, because, all right, Man City have done great things and are doing great things and are on this stupid run, which I don't think it's going to end. I think they're going to finish with all wins. But having said that, if we had done our bit, even despite losing to them, we still would have won the league. And that. I think that's the most painful part of it to take away. It's not because they beat us and we've lost because of our losses to them. We have actually
beat ourselves
because of those draws.
Exactly.
To me, a lot of people,
that's exactly the point.
I can't. I was so gutted with the Liverpool one. For me, actually, out of the 3 draws, I'll tell you something. It's the Liverpool one that hurt the most because I still will say I will be blue in the face. Those first 40 minutes, I have never seen a better performance in Liverpool. Never. We outplayed them unbelievably. So they were chasing shadows. This was a team that has recently won the Champions League, recently won the Premiership, and has gone toe to toe with Man City, for 4 or 5 seasons. And we completely threw them into, I don't know what we were doing, but we were destroying them. And then that one moment of madness, which got the crowd going, changed it all around. And that is our immaturity. That is where Arteta said, no. Don't be sucked into their game. You carry on doing what you're doing because you are better than them. That's what hurt.
Also as well, Neil, that Liverpool game, that is a great point, because we were so much in control of that game at 2-0. So much in control. You're right. We haven't been in control of that game at Liverpool for a long, long time. But then again, I think it comes back down to our mentality. Suddenly they realise we're at Anfield. We don't win at Anfield, and it's almost like they didn't believe they could finish the job. And in the second half, we were lucky to draw that game because Liverpool absolutely bashed us all over the pitch.
Yeah.
They should have scored 5-6 goals in that second half. We were lucky they missed a penalty, as we know, and we should have lost that game. So maybe at the time, I think actually that's not a bad point in the end because we got battered. Go on, Melvin.
I was just in that Liverpool game. I mean, you've known me all season. I never said we wouldn't. I just thought I didn't think we would win the league. I've been very cautious. I didn't want to get anyone in my hopes up, if you like. But I genuinely didn't believe it. But when Jesus scored that second goal,
here we go.
I said, we're going to win it. We're going to do this now. That's the first time in 20 years I ever thought we're going to win the title. And I all season long, with the great football we've been playing, I've been going, but in my mind, but.
Yeah.
That header went in. It's two, as you say, we never scored 2 goals at Anfield unless we get 2. And I'm going, we're 2-0 up at Anfield, and they look ragged. We made them look ragged.
We did.
I'm thinking, you know what? Perhaps I got this wrong. I might become one of the monkeys. I'm a believer.
I'm a believer. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
They were the first goals
in that madness time. I don't know how long. When did we go to that? 25 minutes, was it?
Yeah, early.
25 minutes of the 40th minute when they scored. For that 15 minutes, I was like, wow. This is the real thing here. This is it. This could really happen. And then when we finished up getting the draw and holding on with the skin of our teeth, it was, for me, that was
deflating.
That was a turning point for me.
Yeah, but Neil's right, Melvin. The football in that game was all right. Let's have it right. Liverpool this season were not the team that they have been. That they weren't, right? But they're still
second half.
Yeah, they were second half, but I think the first hour they weren't, right? So, and I agree with Rich. I kind of slightly disagree with Neil on, and everyone jumped on the Xhaka, Xhaka getting the crowd rolled. I think that's bollocks. That's just like, that was a one-off incident. It wasn't even him. It was Trent Alexander, I think, caused that. Xhaka didn't actually do anything, right? It was the other way around. The crowd are always going to get up at Anfield. So just to say it was Xhaka.
No. Sorry, Lee. No, sorry. I didn't say that was the only reason. I'm just saying that was the catalyst.
No, I know. I know, but
it was very similar to the season before. Do you remember when Arteta had the spat with Klopp, and all of a sudden the crowd?
So I don't believe that. There's always going to be a spark. There's always going to be a moment in the game, right? There's always going to be. So as Richard said, you still need the mentality. There's going to be a moment like that at some point. You're playing Liverpool, right? Again, you're going up against the Kop in that stadium. It is tough. Every professional tells you just how tough it is. So there was always going to be a moment. So I don't mean, and I know you wasn't saying that, but generally it's the media. I was that Xhaka moment when he did this. We didn't actually do anything. He was shoved in the back by Trent, right? So regardless, that moment is coming, right? So you've got to be ready, and you've got to just stand up to it. And we just wilted again. It was tough. It was a typical Liverpool second half, the Kop and all the rest of it. But those are the games that you prove that you're worthy to be champions. You hold on, you grind it out, and we looked totally incapable of grinding out any game of football. Yeah, no confidence at all.
We have, in the second half of the season, in particular, the second half of the season, we have been generally unable to do that. We really struggle, haven't we? It seems a belief issue for me. It seems as though their belief disappeared. And I'm not quite sure how or why that happened, because we were winning games, we were playing well, we looked as though we had the belief, and suddenly it all completely disappeared. Now that's got to come from, or that to reverse that has got to come from in the changing room and then on the training pitch. That's where it's got to be changed, and it didn't seem to change. It's almost as though, oh well, we can't win it now. They just believed they couldn't win it, and after that, it was just a matter of that West Ham, we went 2-0 up, and we didn't believe we could win at West Ham. 2-0 up, we still didn't believe that we could win that game. And I don't know. I think it comes from the whole. There's a mentality issue, and it's not just this lot of players, because it's been going on at the club as long as I can remember. But like as Melvin said, not quite 20 years, but it's probably not far off 20 years. We've been going through this constantly, haven't we? How many times have we been in the title?
Loads of time.
March, and then we'd lose the Champions League in March, and then the whole season would fall apart in 3 years. We'd lose in the FA Cup the next week. We'd lose 3 league games in a row. Season done, and it happened every season, and nothing's changed. Here we are now with a different group of players, a different manager, and all this other stuff, and yet we're still going through the same things. We haven't changed it. That mentality thing is still there. I'll
tell you what.
That's it. We're done.
I'll tell you what, mate. I know it's very easy to blame Arteta, and Arteta has got shortcomings, but you got to take responsibility. And maybe I'll probably sound like an old git. I just think a lot of these players, it's a generational thing. They just don't have it. They just don't have that grit. At the end of the day, it should come down to the fire in your belly, right? Individually, I wouldn't be looking you would be looking at the side of the pitch at a manager to give you inspiration. You should have it yourself, right? You're out there with your mates, your teammates. You've got to find it yourself. Yeah, you got to get direction, but people like Graham Souness. Did you think they needed Bob Paisley or anyone standing on that touchline to give them the fire? And maybe it is. Maybe there's less of that inside a lot of today's generation of footballers, where they just don't have it. They just don't have that kind of that fire.
I mean, the thing today that made me sort of laugh and get angry at the same time. It was quite near the end of the game, and obviously we didn't look like we were going to get anything out of it. Obviously, the season's finished, gone, and the ball went out over on the far side of the pitch. It was a throw. I think it was going to be a throw to us, and one of the Nottingham Forest players kind of, was in no hurry to get the ball back. Martin Odegaard ran over there really quickly as though he was bothered. I'm like, it's the 95th minute, mate. You haven't been bothered for the previous 94. No, what difference does it make to take this throw on now? Just don't be do that from the start of the game. Don't pretend at the end when there's seconds to go and you've done nothing for 95 minutes. I was actually quite annoyed me. I thought it was quite amusing at the same time. I'm thinking,
it was like the pushing and shoving. Like, what was the game we finished and Ben White was pushing and shoving? Too late. We'd lost. I can't remember what game it was.
Man City. That was Man City, wasn't it?
Yeah. What? Don't bother. Yeah, I mean, it's just pathetic. It's too late.
Yeah, too late. Exactly. It's like, show fight, but show fight from the first minute of the game until the last minute of the game. That's fine. That's what we want to see.
And they don't do that. And they just don't do it. They don't. They're way off. Yeah.
Today, today's a typical example. It was like our midfield maestro was Gabriel at the back. He had so much of the ball. I don't want to see that.
No.
Because it's not what we should be. And also, when you play the ball very, we were mugged today again. We were mugged. Let's get it. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
We were tough. You could see what was happening. They would say, "Come on," and we were hitting long crosses into the box. Not many in the air. They got very, very tall, capable headers out. Physical. Jesus is not going to win a header in the box unless it plonks in his head. Because that's the type of footballer he is. And we're trying this left, right, left, right.
Yeah,
slow
same old.
Hopefully, Saka will be able to get past the back and then cross it. But he got 6 or 7 defenders in there with 2 attackers in there because they're sitting there the whole game. They sat deep and we didn't try anything else. That's where, I use that expression, the manager earns his corn. And I'm afraid it didn't happen today.
No,
absolutely right. And it's not. And it's this has happened. I think a lot of the last few years. Unfortunately, that's been the situation. Bongo going in the chat there says, "I always said I would enjoy it as long as it lasts, but it lasted too long and then ended up a total crash into a wall." Yeah, I mean that's kind of it, isn't it? It's the hope that kills you, isn't it? That's the problem. It is the hope that kills you. And in a way, we'd have been better off having a pretty average season, finishing well and coming second on the last day, like we did a few years ago. I mean, you're not that disappointed, are you? You think, oh, bloody hell, we finished second. We've steamed in and come second.
Richard, it'd have been better having a worse season and coming second with a run at the end of the season.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. Or even
this feels worse than the end of last season.
Or even getting in the top 4 on the last day, winning your last game and getting fourth place. We've done that a few times. That was exciting. It was something you're up for, aren't you? You're buzzing. It's brilliant. You're at the end of the day, you go, I think, what a great season that was, even though 3/4 of it were absolute shite, right? Whereas this season now, 3/4 of the season was great, but we're going to go away thinking what a shite season that was because we blew it all at the last. And that's the overriding feeling, isn't it? And it's the wrong way round. It's always the wrong way round. Terry says, at least the club can't use the excuse it's a process anymore. But looking forward to the new kit, tracksuit, and new trainers to come on sale next week to help us feel better for Friday. Well, the new kit's coming out, isn't it, next week? They're wearing it against Wolves, aren't they? The new home shirt with the gold stripes.
Real Madrid.
So that's going to be great. We look forward to that. Jeffar says, Melvin is right. That Liverpool game is just a disgrace. How you 2-0 up against that Liverpool team and still don't get 3 points. Drawing Southampton, West Ham. Yeah, exactly. Proper bottle. It is exactly. We've said that all along. Yeah. Bongo Guna says, is the new stuff any good? Only saw leaks and didn't like what I saw. I think the new home kit's all right, but at this moment in time, I'm not really that fussed, if I'm honest.
It's a tribute to the Invincibles.
I don't understand it. Sorry, Neil, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a tribute. I think they're doing a little tribute to the Invincibles. So it's not 20 years, isn't it? The 20th anniversary. So I think it's a tribute to that kit.
But we all get excited when we're bringing out 3 kits a year. It's more important what players wear the kit.
Yeah, and the attitude and the mentality.
I'd rather keep the same kit for 10 years and have better players wearing it every year. Better kit every year. I don't care
what the business. Unfortunately, it's all money in a business.
I don't care. I don't care what the kit looks like. Honestly, people say, "Oh, do you like the new kit?" I don't give a shit what the new kit's like. I don't. It's going to be red with white sleeves because it's always been red with white sleeves. And the away kit's going to be some weird colour because that's what they do now. So what? Yeah. Who cares?
Guys, you know they can wear a luminous green or yellow and pink. I don't care as long as they win football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What might happen?
Wearing it win. Yeah.
Do you think what might happen is you get a 5 or 10% off your season ticket or your ticket price if you come in wearing a kit? Something stupid like that. I mean, I can see it. I'm telling you, it's
I know.
Oh, don't even go down that way. That would just. I mean, modern football's a pretty shit anyway. That would just be the icing on the cake, wouldn't it?
Who started the kit thing? Was that Man United all those years ago when they started having like 15 kits a season or something?
Yes, well, I remember. Man United, they seem to have more, didn't they?
They started the trend, didn't they?
They did seem to, but they start a lot of bad things in football, don't they, man? Let's be honest. We shouldn't be confident. We should be standing on our own and saying this is the way to do things properly and release a home kit every other year, away kit every other year, alternatively. So you get one new kit every year.
It should be once every 2 years. Yes,
what we used to do. It's what we need to do. We need to make a stand against it and say we're Arsenal. We're going to do things the right way, but we don't because we're just as bad as all the others now. We just become as bad as everybody else. We don't have any principles anymore. We're not this club that used to be traditional and do things the right way anymore, like we used to.
All
we just follow the crowd.
It's what Lee was saying earlier. We're all drones. It's generational thing. You know, we don't have our own minds. You know, we just go with the script. Whereas, you know, as Lee was saying earlier, the players would come in. Doesn't matter what the manager said and this. If things aren't going that rightly on the pitch, you know, the players themselves have to take some responsibility and change things. So. Yeah, I think it's a generational thing. I agree.
Yeah, it is.
I think with Man United, what they used to do, they used to work it out for every 1,000 supporters that go through the turnstiles that actually live in Manchester, they brought out a new kit.
Wow. That must be what we're doing. That must be what we're doing because we seem to we release some sort of new range, don't we? Quite throughout the season on a monthly basis or sometimes on a
training kit. Rich, we got a training kit. What's all that about? The training kit. What are we going? Are we going training to London Colney? Are we?
Yeah, exactly,
we have the winter collection, the spring collection, the summer collection, the Halloween collection, and all sorts.
The Jamaican collection with the Jamaican colours on it. There was that one. Don't forget. There was the one that McCartney done. Stella McCartney did one. Don't forget her as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like what?
And also, there soon be. I don't know if it's the same, Richard. You could probably answer this. Do the women have the same kit as us?
Yeah, they're the same.
Yeah.
They'll soon split that. They'll have men and women's different colour kits.
It's a different style, but it's the same kit. They wear the
Same
same
kit.
colours, the same kit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The women wear the pink kit, the black kit, and this red kit. Exactly the same. It's the same kits that they wear, and they produce the same amount of merchandise for the women's team.
Yeah.
But I think the women's fans aren't quite the same. Don't really lap it up so much to the same degree. It don't seem to. It's not such a big issue with women's football.
What's it, 70 quid for a shirt? I mean, never mind the shirt. I'm more upset with the wine gums. Bag of wine gums over the Emirates going off tax here, £4.50.
What?
So,
Well, you
bag
don't
of
have
wine
to buy
gums.
them, though, Lee. That's the point.
No, I know
That
it's sugar rich. Yeah, it was like I'm
is
tired after work. I mean, don't tell anyone. I've taken in my winter's coat. I was putting a can of Coke in my hood and taking it in because I didn't want to pay £4.95 for flat Coke in a plastic cup. So I don't tell anyone. Put it in the hood, the can in the hood. So don't check your hoods.
Don't worry, no one's watching this.
I know exactly. Yeah,
you'll be fine.
I went on half time at Highbury once. It was a hot day. I went downstairs. I bought a bottle of water, something like £3 for those little things. Okay, it had Arsenal on it, so it's £3.
Yeah.
But having said that, Lee, they're checking hats now. I've had to take my hat for the last 2 games.
Really?
They're checking your hats now.
They're not checking inside the hood.
That's strange.
They might next season. Yeah, 50p for a can. I thought, nice cold can of Coke rather than watery Diet Coke for £4.75. Poke that.
Anyway, it cost me £3. She gave me the little bottle.
Took the top off. Yeah, they take the top off. Yeah, you can't have the top.
Why can't I have the top?
You can't have the top.
I said, if I knock it over, I'm going to lose all my water. Oh, yeah. I said, keep it back and you've got the money back, ain't it?
Wow.
I don't understand, right?
But out of principle.
What's more dangerous, the little lid or the actual bottle itself? What's more dangerous?
Well, they're thinking if you do it out the
more dangerous.
How many bottles have you seen thrown at Highbury or the Emirates the last 20 years?
Never. No.
Well,
no,
away fans a couple of times. Away fans have a couple of times, but
no, we did at the which game was it, Melvin, with the mental fans that were doing all the flares, and who was that? Who was that? Zenith? No, who did we play in Europa?
Yeah, well, the Europa League, they made a lot of noise.
PSV, wasn't it? Was it PSV?
All the there was smoke everywhere all the time. They were crazy. They were great for it, and then but near the end, they would get in their plastic bottles and chucking them up at us at the tier above. So it's the first time I've seen it in years, absolute years. But they were chucking the bottles, but not the lids. So I don't understand why they keep the lids.
Well, I mean, if you saw the West Ham game the other night, that was in Holland. That was a bit naughty, wasn't it? At times, that West Ham game against some Alkmaar.
Well, we might get fined for that. We might.
Yeah, we probably will. When the Man City won't. Russ says today was another example of the refs not knowing what they were doing. Well, we just accept that as standard now. We don't even get worry about it. Terry says, I'll blame VAR for all of it. Yeah, let's blame VAR. Why not? I agree. Just blame it anyway. Even though it's got nothing to do with anything, let's just blame it anyway. I quite agree. Jeff says there, question for you guys. Please be honest. If next season we don't win the league, should we sack Arteta and get a proper manager who has been there and won it?
Probably.
No, my answer is no. We shouldn't sack the manager. If we finish 6th or 5th or whatever, then questions have got to be asked.
Yeah, definitely.
Another £250 million. But if we come second
carry on
to that machine, and we don't get, we just don't get 10 points clear of them, and it's just one of those things where they just outscore us every game and get the points all the time, and it's like a hard slog. Then no, we shouldn't get the sack, in my opinion.
No.
I think we do need to. He's going to have to at some point win a trophy, though, isn't he? He needs to win a trophy. He can't continue.
For me, it's got to be top 4 in a trophy next season, Rich. For me, it's got to be top 4 in a trophy.
He's got to win a trophy. I think he's got to win a trophy now with the money that we've spent. The money we've spent.
I mean, you could argue, Rich, if Man United win that FA Cup in a couple of weeks, they've had a better season than us, right? 2 cups,
don't
2 trophies,
right? Just to depress us even more.
No, who they playing?
As it stands now, they've had a better season. They've won a cup, got to another cup final. They got further in the Europa League than we did, and they've reached in the top 4 like we have, or almost in the top 4 like we have. They've had a much better season than us. 100%. 100% they have.
It's a strong argument. Yeah, you can argue. Obviously, we come second, but it's difficult to argue they've won a cup.
Yeah, but you tell me though, Lee.
Yeah.
Realistically, what's the difference between coming second and coming fourth? Really, what's the difference?
Nothing,
Exactly.
really.
No difference
Nothing.
whatsoever.
Yeah,
It makes
I mean,
no difference at all.
if it goes to the end of the season, it's nip and tuck, and we go to the last game or so, and it's exciting, we're all up, then that would be different for me. That would, but to fade away like we had and to finish second, it just feels like it's just top four, and I'd rather win a trophy because that's what top level football is about, isn't it? Winning cups, even the Carabao.
There used to be a slight difference in there, though. Didn't fourth place used to have to do a qualifying game in the summer?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, well, we were always in it, weren't we?
Oh yeah, we
Yeah, to be fair, yeah. I used to quite like that game. It was always
I did.
some
early in the season, late July, early August, wasn't it?
Yeah, July,
Never heard
August,
of those teams that we used to play.
Generally, I'm trying to think who we played. Did we play that as a Swedish team or a Norwegian team?
I remember we played Udinese once. I remember playing them in that qualifier at the start of the season.
Right.
That was
Eindhoven, PSV Eindhoven, maybe.
Yeah, PSV Eindhoven. We had one. Yeah, we had a few, didn't we? We played that FC Twente when Steve McLaren was their manager. We played them in that game.
Yeah, before our annual beating against Bayern Munich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Barcelona.
Bayern Munich and
Barcelona.
How long was he there for, McLaren, FC Twente? How long was he there for?
Wasn't long.
No.
I don't think it was even a season, was it? I don't think he even lasted a season, did he?
I think when he left, they were called FC 18.
Probably, yeah. Probably how many points he got.
So come on, Rich, we got to finish. You got to be. What reasons have we got to be positive about then? Because there's, as I say, it did feel like a great season up to a couple of months ago.
I'll tell you what we can feel positive. I'll tell you what I'm feeling positive about. There's only one game left. That's the most positive thing. And I can't wait for that game to be over, to be honest with you. And we can get this season finished and done with. And then we can, it's going to be a big summer, isn't it? The summer's going to be, I don't like all the transfer rumours and all that rubbish, but this is going to be a big summer for Arsenal because we have to make moves in that window. We have to bring in players. I think a lot of players are going to leave. Players on the edge of the team that aren't getting minutes. Kieran Tierney's going to be out the door. We don't know what's happening.
That's right.
I think there's going to be a lot of in and outs coming this summer, so it's going to be quite an exciting summer coming up, isn't it? In the transfer market.
No, that's right. So the positive is this: for the first time in 7 years, we're in the Champions League, so we should be able to attract top players. I love that Casado. I think he's fantastic footballer. I think I'd even have him over Rice, to be honest. But it's 250 million, top striker, Casado or Rice or both. And then a few other, as I say, you don't need to spend the ridiculous amounts of money. We can pick players up for 30, 40 million, right? But it's so key, this transfer window. We probably say it every year, but we're in the Champions League, so it should, and we're in London, right? So it should be fairly easy for us to attract players to Arsenal.
You say that, you say that, Lee, but if we choose a player and Chelsea come in, we ain't going to get them on.
I don't know, Mel. You'd have said that any year for the previous 10. I said, absolutely, they're going to go to Chelsea, serial winners. But and Chelsea can't be as bad as they was. But there's an argument to say it could take Chelsea a year or two to get back up to the level, right? I think based on
look at their bank balance, though, don't they?
I get you. But we can still pay 250, 300, can't we? I guess so. But the worrying thing is the way we've tailed off. A player who may have thought, Arsenal has had a fantastic season. Maybe we've put a doubt in their head now. The way we finished, maybe they're thinking like the rest of us. Sugar, is this? And like Richard says, have we seen the real Arsenal? Right? I
don't agree with that, Lee. I think.
Based on performances, Neil.
No.
If I was a player, I'd have serious reservations now.
Not saying no. I'm with you on that. But what I'm thinking is, I think the key thing is what you said at the start of what you were just saying. The fact that we're in Champions League is a huge plus.
It is
huge. It's quite a big positive in the sense that if you had a player who was kind of on the knife edge, which way shall I go? For example, look, Chelsea are not going to be in the Champions League. So like you were saying, if you not play Chelsea, just snap them up. But they might actually have something within themselves. Say, do you know what? I'm not going to go for the money. I want to play Champions League. I like the way Arsenal sets up. I like the way they run things. They're
rich men anyway, aren't they? Let's face it.
But if we weren't in the Champions League, if we weren't in the Champions League and they were kind of signing to us, and then we thought, well, actually, no, Chelsea are in the Champions League, so I'd rather go to them, even though I'd prefer to go Arsenal. But this time we've got the advantage. You said first time 6-7 years. I think that is the positive. The other positive for
We've
me,
bought top players, Neil. We've bought top players without Champions League football, haven't we? Thomas Partey, he was like fought after throughout Europe, wasn't he? You know,
he was.
There's been others as well that we've still managed to bring in good players despite not being in the Champions League.
Absolutely.
So Chelsea will be able to as well. That's what I mean. Chelsea.
They will. I mean, Chelsea. Chelsea buy if they win the Conference League, they'll be buying good players. That's just the way it is for them.
It should be easier for us, shouldn't it?
But I'm just saying, if you get those one or two, which they then suddenly poke their heads in, maybe by the virtue of that we're in the Champions League, they're not. It might just be.
I agree. I agree. The top players.
Yeah, and then the other advantage is the fact that we've actually got something to learn from. We have now got, as I was saying earlier, we've seen how Arteta and the team have seen how this season has gone. He's got something that he can learn from. He's got a blueprint. Right, this is what we've got. This is where the things worked. These are the things where it didn't. What do we do to fix it going forward? So I think that is also a positive in a way. And again, the season is key. Next season is key. Yeah.
Sorry to be a dampener on this one, but what has he learned?
No, I'm just saying as a season in a whole. If you look at it as a whole, where things may have gone wrong.
You'd hope he'd learn, wouldn't you?
Where, for example, in some certain key positions where we're too heavily reliant on one player, I felt that we were too heavily reliant on Saka. Saka's burnt out. We were too heavily reliant on Saliba. He gets injured and then things fall apart in defence. Things like that. And they're thinking that, okay, we do need a right winger. We do need maybe another central defender. Certainly he's got to address the blooming left-back position because we don't seem to have one. We're definitely getting rid of Tierney. Things like this, he can't expect players that are not by default in that position and expect them to play there like he did today, just like experimenting. So things like that.
All right, I just say against that, Neil, and I'm sounding very bearish. I hate listening to myself when I'm like this, but I'm going to say it. He hasn't learnt that we need a top quality defensive midfielder for the last 4 years.
Oh, that's the first
thing. He hasn't learnt that Holding, you cannot have Holding in your squad because at some stage you need to play him. He hasn't learnt that you cannot have as your number 2 centre forward a guy like Eddie, who's probably very good, but not good enough to win the league. He hasn't learnt that.
Yeah,
that's what tell me that he's learning.
I agree with all of that, Melvin, but this is the first season where we've challenged since he's been here. This is the first season where we've come in the top 4 since he's challenged. So I'm saying now he can see that some progress has been made. We've shifted slightly. I know what you're saying with that. It doesn't matter whether you finish 4th or 2nd, but we have finished top 4. Forget what position we're in. We have finished top 4, which he haven't done in his tenure before. So all I'm saying is now he's seen something which has moved slightly. We're not in the Europa. We're not in Europe. We're in the Champions League.
But Neil, I'm going to jump in. But to Melvin's point, right?
No,
you just a sec, right? You're looking. He shouldn't need another season to know Holding should not be anywhere near that squad. That Eddie should have been moved on. So you shouldn't need another set. I get what you're saying. Another season there, he should know. But there ain't no excuses at the top level. Holding, I can see it. How can I see he's not good enough to play? He's nowhere near good enough. And the same with Eddie. Eddie's a decent, hard-working, decent striker. Top 8, top 10. You shouldn't need another season to work that out. We all knew it.
It shouldn't.
So in reality, there's no excuses. There's no excuses.
No. In a utopian world, it shouldn't. I completely agree with you. And even in a common sense world, it shouldn't. All I'm saying is, but this is where we are. We can't change it. This is where we are. And I'm saying it's almost like a case. He's the first 2 seasons, whatever. We won the FA Cup first season he was there, and then he's had 2 8 finishes and and this, and it's all this disaster. All I'm saying is now he's just got a little bit more that he can work with. If he doesn't learn from that now.
I'm not forgiving him. I'm not forgiving him for Eddie, and I'm not forgiving him for Holding. We might have to wait another 20 years, but by your rationale, Holding, Eddie, and 1 or 2 other players, it could be 20 years. Well, I could be 75.
My rationale, Matt, Lee. It's not my. I'm not saying I didn't agree with that.
But what you're saying is that let's be fair. We've challenged this year, but turn the clock back 12 months. Holding was all over the shop 12 months ago. And Eddie was still Eddie. He had a good little run. He did really well. But anyone who's watched football for a long time, like Melvin and Richard, or same as me, or play football, he is not an Arsenal standard footballer. End of. No. Shouldn't have been in the squad. We give him 200 grand a week, didn't we?
100
or 100 grand a week.
It's not the money. If he's in the squad, he might play for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not saying Holding was the right thing. I'm not saying Eddie was the right thing. All I'm saying is, you said, what positives have we got? I'm trying to give you some
Yeah.
positives. Yeah, and the,
I
And
know,
Melvin's just
I know.
shut you down, Neil.
I'm
Melvin's just shut
positive.
your
I'm
positive
saying,
down.
I'm positive. I'm saying you guys are saying, well, it's too little, too late. Well, maybe, and maybe he should have already learned. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not trying to say what you guys are saying is incorrect. By far, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is he's got a slightly better script now, so there are no excuses at all. Not by my rationale. I've already said it.
Yeah.
Next season,
Well,
a minimum is the top 4 and a trophy. No excuses. Yeah.
I've got a
Yeah.
positive. I've
Go
got a
on.
positive. I think the board and the owners will have to spend a lot of money, because if you don't go forward, we're going to go back big
backwards.
time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now they've got to spend a lot of money, Lee, not just because we're asking them as supporters. It's like a game of poker. You've got a decent hand, you've put literally a load of money in that pot, and you're thinking, I've got one more play here.
Yeah.
I've got to go.
Got to go for it.
You can't say,
absolutely.
I've put 3/4 of my money, I'll just walk away. They've put a lot of money into this. And
go big or go home. Go big or go
home. They are at the moment, because I think even they realise, even as football guys,
you can't hesitate, Melvin.
No, but they can't just walk away from the pot. That's what I'm saying.
No, exactly. Go big or go home.
It's a pivot. We are at a pivot point.
Pivotal moment. Yeah.
Pivotal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's either we spend and we continue to continue the momentum we had for 3/4 of the season.
Melvin, it's like that. It's like that one moment. That the only time I can remember being worried about Tottenham, apart from the David Pleat top midfield 35 years ago, when Spurs were a really decent side, right, with Clive Allen. That's the only time I've actually been worried about Tottenham, was when they got through against Ajax. I thought, bloody hell, if Levy puts his hand in his pockets now, they're in the Champions League final. They go. I remember thinking they go big, but he's got the accountant's attitude. Trust me, I know it. He's gone, well, let's see if we can do that again on the same budget next year. That was his go big or go home moment. Spurs would have gambled and brought in some decent players. They could have been up there, but he bottled it. And you don't get a chance. It's gone.
That's where we are now, gentlemen.
That's where we are now.
There is another positive, and I'm sure you'll agree with this one. We were a team that would always struggle to beat anyone in the so-called top 6. We beat all of them this season, apart from Man City.
Yeah. Well shot.
Right. So that's another shift.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
I'll buy that. Definitely. That's a major shift, because we've been getting walloped for 10 years against top 6. So that's a good point.
So there is that. So that's all I'm trying to say. There's little things that, it doesn't make us feel any better, maybe, but at the end of the day, there is something a little bit more than there was previous season and the season before that.
Correct.
That's all.
Correct.
We didn't have that before.
No, correct.
So he can draw on that. He can look at that and look at it and take a view. If anything, if that documentary was anything to go by, I'm sure he will. And let's hope that we can come back bigger and stronger next season. But you guys are all right on one thing. It strongly depends. Absolutely pivotal, crucial, key is the transfer window. And if we're not cute in that transfer window, then it's going to be the same old. Yeah. Agreed.
No, absolutely. This summer is going to be a massive summer, isn't it, for the club?
Yeah,
massive summer. And it's if we fail to build on what we have made improvements this season. If we fail to build on that in the summer and next season, then it would be, how bad we're feeling now. We would feel a lot worse this time next year if we've gone back from this point with a reasonably young squad. Jeffo says there, the pain you guys are going through is 2 times for me. At least you guys have seen Arsenal winning so many trophies. For me, it was my first time ever to witness the club I loved actually winning.
You forget that, don't you? We forget that, don't we?
Yeah, there's a lot of people currently that have never seen Arsenal win the league, my son being one of them, and they probably never felt this was the best opportunity that they've had. And will it come around again? You don't know. Hopefully it will do.
No.
But your pain must be worse for that base. At least we have seen it. Does that make it better or not? I'm not sure really. Maybe it makes it worse.
No, you'd rather have seen it, Rich.
I'm trying to think back to 88, 89, Rich, when we were 21 and we hadn't seen it. And how I felt then when my dad saying what it was like in 71, Melvin, right? I'm thinking, God, it'd be great to find. And it is an amazing thing. And my nephew goes every week and he's 18. And I was like, if we do this, you just wait. What I was excited for him. It's a real shame.
Can I just butt in there, Lee?
Go on, Melvin.
It's interesting because with me, when I first started supporting the Arsenal, we weren't very good. So when we won it, I appreciated the win from having the bad times.
Yeah.
If you support a team and the first season you support and they won the league, you think, oh, this happens every year, or it's a great thing. You don't appreciate it. When we won it in
the journey.
71, I dreamt it. I slept. I drunk everything. It was all around my head. It was a wonderful, wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
And I really did. Even to this day, it's still my favourite ever win of a championship.
Yeah.
It was something that we were just weren't going to. We were a half decent cup team, but we weren't even that good at cups. But when it comes, the league was like, nah. Because I used to, as a kid, get in the Valiant comics. They used to get a table of all the teams. Used to slot them in with their. After the first week, Arsenal were always top, being an A with Aston Villa. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, but I knew after 5 weeks I'm going to give it up because we're going to be halfway down the league. I never did it again. And when we did actually one season, because that was the only season we looked like we were going to win the league, because we weren't like nearly there.
No.
When we actually got something, you know what? This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when we won it, I just let it all come.
Yeah, it was the same. Exactly.
I mean, Melvin, talking about that, right? Do you know how many times in our history that we have kind of not won a league title when we've been challenging towards the end of the season? How many times in our history?
Loads I can remember.
99.
What, when we blown it? There hasn't been.
99.
The Birmingham one.
Well, 99, we went to the last game of the season. Didn't remember at home when we played.
99 was the last game of the season.
And Man United, Tottenham. Last game.
Relying on Tottenham to do us a favour,
Yeah, exactly.
When he scored, then he didn't even celebrate, did he?
Them ones that you're talking about, though, Melvin, the title had gone quite a long way before the actual end of the season, hadn't it? I'm talking about when we were in the title race in the last 3 or 4 games.
Leeds away. I went up to Leeds. We got beat.
Leeds away was one. That was 99, wasn't it? That was a 99 one.
Same season.
We blew that one when we should have won it. 2003 when we were about 6 points clear and we drew with Bolton. We were 2-0 up, and then we lost to Leeds at home.
That was own goal from Keown, wasn't it? Bolton own goal from Keown.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, that's right. We drew 2-2. So there's them two there. I think there was one.
Not many.
No, there's not many. There's not many at all.
There ain't many.
When we're in the title race at the end, we normally win it. It's very rare that we don't.
Across.
Actually, this season's been quite unusual in that sense.
Yeah.
To be this close to a league and not win it, because usually even 89.
Yeah.
You know, 89 we it looked like we'd blown it, but we got it at the end.
Roller coaster. Yeah.
Yeah, and we always seem somehow to when we're there right at the end of the season, we seem to get it over the line somehow. But this season,
I'll tell you, Rich. The scary thing is, right. I've got mates I've known since I was 14, right? And they're 55 and they're Spurs fans, right? And they've never obviously felt what it's like to win a league. So, it's quite scary. You're a young Arsenal fan. I don't want to worry them, but you know what I mean? It can go 55 years, because when I was playing football when I was 19, we had a couple of Spurs fans. And my best mate, Dill, was a manager, and he was Arsenal. He was, I think he was about 65, about 10 years older than me. And he used to laugh at them then. This was back at late 80s. And he'd say to them, "You'll never win the league in my lifetime." And that was in 1988. And he was right. So it's never guaranteed, is it? Never guaranteed.
I'll tell you what, that was a really good comment, though, because it's so spot on. I never thought of it like that. That some poor fans have not even seen it. So for us to have seen it,
imagine that.
It's so precious, For Melvin, your favourite one is the first one you saw. For us, 3. I mean, for me, it'll always be 89. I don't care what happens. I don't care what miracles Arsenal might perform. For me, for that moment, oh my God!
Yeah, you're right, Neil. You're right.
With you forever and ever. So it's so precious. And sometimes I do forget that you guys. It's spot on. That comment was so spot on. He goes, at least you guys have seen some good stuff, and we have. We've been spoiled a little bit as well with the Wenger golden era. I think we were spoiled. And this is the appreciation bit I always talk to you about, Rich. You see, the 89, I'll never ever forget it. Totally appreciated it. I was wearing my whole kit literally to college and stuff. People were laughing at me. I said, I don't care. I really don't care what you say. They called me Santa Claus, which we're fine. That's whatever. I don't give a. I just love being in the moment. But you see, when we were doing it over and over again, and when we were it was so good at that stage with not just the Invincible team, but even the 2-3 year seasons before that. I sort of lost. the appreciation. And as I said to you, I used to go to the games. You've met Mickey, haven't you, Melvin? I used to go to the games with him.
Yeah.
And we were waiting for the kickoff, and we'd both be looking at each other, goes, it's 4-0 today, isn't it? 5-0. And it actually would turn out to be that way.
Yeah.
And it was almost as if it took away that excitement. And now, looking back, I regret that so much because, gosh, I wish I had appreciated every single minute of those days.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, but yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah.
I think.
And the quality of the football as well, Neil. The quality of the football. I remember. Do you remember that phone-in program you're on Sky Sports? And when we were at our pomp, right, in 2004, I remember Rodney Marsh. There was a phone-in, and in typical Rodney style, he went, "That was unbelievable." He said, "How much do you Arsenal fans pay for your season tickets?" And the bloke went, "Oh, it's about 1,100, about 900 quid." He said, "Well, whatever you're paying, you ain't paying enough."
Yes, I remember that. Yes. Yeah.
And Arsenal heard him to put the prices up.
Oh no!
Quick, put the prices up. Yeah.
The next day they went up by 20% on the back of Rodney.
That's before he got sacked.
For that, mate. Well done.
Yeah, I remember
before
that
his tsunami joke. About a week before he got sacked, I think.
Yeah, that's right. He got sacked from that.
Yeah. I like Terry's comment here. We go back to the kit issue that Melvin says. That the women wear the same kit as the men. It's a shame the men don't show the same grit and determination as the women show in every game. Exactly, yeah. The women wear the kit with a lot more pride than the men seem to at this moment in time. But anyway, they do wear the same kit. That is true. Robert says, "What's the difference between Tottenham and a book?" And he says a book has a title. Well, yeah, we don't have a title at the minute either, do we? So let's not sort of go on to Spurs too much. Michael's in the chat here. Michael, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. Mark says we'll be stronger next season.
There you go.
My word, Adams will help. Well, let's hope so. We need something, don't
Fingers crossed, guys.
Robert says you have not had a good season without a cup. Simple as that. Yeah, I agree. We literally win something. It's not a great season. It's an all right season.
No.
Could have been a lot better, and that's how it is. So he says, I think we should get in Pep's number 2 as manager next season. It looks like he'll win a treble. Well, we thought that about Pep's number 2 3.5 years ago, Terry, didn't we? Look how that's gone. Michael says, I think today was a worrying glimpse into the future. Arteta won't be able to handle Premier League, Champions League, Premier League, as the squad management is a joke. He's ran Saka into the ground unless we have a massive... I've been saying this for a little while, Michael. I totally agree with that. It is a worry that this could be what we're going to be witnessing on a more regular basis next season. Terry says, McLaren spoke great Dutch in an interview I saw. He did, I remember that when he was manager. I think that might have been in the build-up to when we played him, actually. Robert says, sorry, Rich, that was an old Arsenal ad for washing. Oh, was it? Okay, fair enough. Loki's in the chat here. Loki, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. Michael says, I think today... Oh, we've just had that one. Have I gone backwards? Anyway. Mark says there, what music, if any, do the team play before they walk down the tunnel, or maybe bring it back? Actually... I don't know if what the team have in the changing. I mean, obviously the team walk out to North London forever. I'd be getting rid of that for next season. For a start.
Don't walk out to that. Don't walk out.
No, it's played during.
It's before they walk out, isn't it? It's just before, yeah. But
no, remember, I don't think they listen.
Jump around. What were they called? That group? Oh gosh, jump around.
Chris Cross.
No, not Chris Cross. The other one, the Irish.
House of Pain.
Yes, that's it. I think it used to be that. That used to be the one that they used to come out to. I think
I remember the one at Highbury before they used to come out. That one.
Elvis Presley, wasn't it?
The one was at the Emirates for years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then right here, right now. That was one.
Right here, right
now. That's it.
Was that Fat Boy Slim?
Yeah,
Fat Boy Slim.
Yes.
That was Slim Boy Slim now, isn't it? That was a bit weight.
Loki says we've had a better season than I expected. Poor finish tainted it a bit. I think we've had exactly the sort of season I expected, if I'm honest, at the end. So pretty much where we are. Terry says he hasn't learned from 3 seasons that we need a top centre forward or a plan B. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely not. Loki says the game today felt like Everton away flat. Well, it felt worse than Everton away, really, in a way. I don't know. It just did. Terry says, come on, Lee. Rob Holding's got a lovely full head of hair. He's got a great head of hair.
I love his hair.
He wears a hairband and everything. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's Alice band. I love him for that.
It's brilliant. Yeah, If he'd turned around his football abilities as he'd turned around his hair, we'd actually be sitting here saying, what a fantastic player.
You just reminded me of something when you talked about someone mentioned a striker, right? I remember I listened to Dean Saunders on Talks, but I love it. He's a funny guy, Dean Saunders, and obviously knowledgeable. Weren't a great manager. But he said, unless you've got a great striker, I said the hardest thing in football is to score goals. unless you got a great striker, you ain't winning nothing, right? Obviously, we don't want to be letting it, but we really do need. When was the last time we had a proper striker? Can't remember.
Well, we had a proper striker who won the Golden Boot, but in a few years ago, he won a Golden Boot, didn't he?
Who's that?
Aubameyang.
Oh God, yeah. I suppose it was Was that a one season? I know for a couple.
Well,
it was all right,
he came second the season after by 1 goal, didn't he? So 2 seasons in a row, he's basically top goal scorer in the Premier League for two seasons in a row. And then Arteta rolled up and said, don't start scoring goals, Aubameyang. You play left back, mate. That's where you need to be, back there. Don't you get in a penalty area and score goals. Don't be doing that.
To be fair, I think the season was more about we leaked too many goals. We did have 3 or 4 goal scorers over 10. 2 or 3, almost 15. So I still agree. I think we need a target man. We need a very strong, powerful centre forward, which we haven't lacked, and it's not Arteta's way. Rich used to tell me that. In the earlier pods, he said it's just not his way. He's not going to do it. But I think we need someone of that ilk. We do, because
we did leak goals. We leak goals. Neil, you're right. We need both. Stop leaking. It's not complicated, is it? Stop leaking goals. And someone who bangs in 28. I mean, even Kane, another 28 goals, right? Which is pretty not bad going. 28 goals.
It's mad though, isn't it? You think 28 goals is a lot, which it is. And then you look at the sideboard, and it's like double that.
Yeah,
it's like
one's playing for Man City, the other's playing for 2 Bob Tottenham.
No, but you say that though. But in the Premier League, I think Haaland's got 36 and Harry Kane's got 28. So he's not that far behind Haaland playing for Tottenham. No. So
I mean, you've got to give it to him.
We like to criticise Harry Kane, don't we? Because he's Harry Kane and he plays for that lot, right? But if we had Harry Kane in our team scoring 30 goals a season, we'd have won the Premier League this season, 100%. We would have won the Premier League with Harry Kane in our team. He falls over, he dives around, he's a cheat, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he is. Who cares? But if he's scoring you 30 goals a season and he wins you the league, he's not going to win the league at Tottenham with his 30 goals because they're crap. So
I've got a question for all of you, right? Would you, bearing in mind, you remember we got Sol Campbell? Would you, just for the comedy value, would you sign Harry Kane in the summer if you wrote we weren't going to win? We weren't going to win any trophies for the next 5 years, right? Just for the comedy value. Harry Kane, right? Can you imagine? The uproar.
Yeah,
I would take Harry Kane because he would win our trophies in our team. He would. That's the sort of player that we need. If we had Harry Kane, I'd take him all day long in the summer. 100%.
I would.
I'd have bought him the last 10 summers in a row. I'd have bought him every single season because he's a natural goal scorer and he brings more to us. He's a much better player than we want to give him credit for. He drops deep. He links the play.
He's a fabulous player.
He's a fabulous
player. He's a cheat.
He is a cheat. I agree. He's a cheat. But then if he was cheating for us and winning us penalties, we'd like him.
We wouldn't care. Oh, he's great. He's got the Teddy Sheringham about him, and he comes deep, picks the ball up, lays a good ball off.
He's got it all. I mean, Terry Sheringham was a great player. He's better than Terry Sheringham. He's a great player.
Gentlemen, can I go, please?
I need to go as well, guys.
Nice to talk to you all. Cheers, Rich.
Haven't we? We've got it all.
I lost my appetite after that game, but I'm getting it back now.
I know.
I think I lost one before.
I'll hopefully see you all on Wednesday night for Highbury Matters.
Yes, Highbury Matters Wednesday is going to be a great show. So definitely tune in for that. It's going to be.
Cheers, Neil. Cheers, Melvin. Cheers, Rich.
See you later, Melvin.
Enjoyed it.
The women are playing tomorrow, 12:30 against Chelsea, a big game. So join us for that. That's going to be great. That'll be a good game, that. So I'll be live for that one about 12:15. That's going to be good. Melvin's here Wednesday for Highbury Matters. That is always great. So definitely see that. Lee's had enough, so Lee's gone. And I'll see you tomorrow for the women's game. Arsenal didn't win today. We didn't win the league, but who cares? We've had fun. That's what it's about, isn't it? We've enjoyed it. And we've got a new dog. Arsenal got a new dog. So there you go.
There you go.
Well, gentlemen. See you Wednesday.
Take care, Melvin. All the best,
guys. Thanks for all your comments as well. We'll speak to you soon, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.
Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye-bye.
Real Martinelli. It's now with Granit Xhaka. Is it going to be the third goal? It is the third goal. Granit Xhaka with it. That's easy.